Welcome to multiphonics.app. I'm going to take you through all of the features of the app and everything that you can do with it to explore and write and play clarinet multiphonics. So we start on the main page here. This is going to be your starting point. It's got our multiphonic of the day, which changes every day, of course. You can start browsing multiphonics by selecting your choice of instruments. So if we start with B-flat clarinet here, you will see a very, very long list of multiphonics in the catalog view. So you can filter by, for example, the characteristics. If you click more filters, you can filter by difficulty level, and these can be sort of combined. And then we could also filter by pitch. So now, yeah. And the pitches are all kind of rounded up to the nearest semitone just to make it a little bit less complicated. And then of course we can also do it by dynamic, so we can have really buzzy, quiet, easy to play multiphonics that have an E in them. And the catalog view, it does show you the pitch and the fingering and a little bit of other information, including the dynamics, the difficulty level, and the perceived difficulty level as rated by users. It also shows you some nice little tags here. And if you open one of those multiphonics, then we go into the detailed view. And from here we have the recorded, we have related trills, and these have been inputted by me rather than, you could also look for trills by using the fingering diagram search, which you can access very easily from here. So if I click on this, it will automatically populate our fingering diagram search with that fingering. I'll show you the fingering diagram search in a minute. And the same with the pitch search. You also, on many of the multiphonics, I haven't done all of them yet, but on many of them you will actually get a comment from me. And you can also add things like your rating. You can see I've already added my rating for this one, and an emoji tag. So if you want to select an emoji to represent this multiphonic, you can do that, and I'll show you a bit more about how that works elsewhere. And also it will fill in our repertoire database as that starts to grow. And any related blog posts on my website that cover this multiphonic are automatically cross-referenced here. So there's a ton of information about each multiphonic. And that was kind of my goal, actually, is that it sort of, in a way, preserves that aspect of my blog, in that, you know, celebrating each multiphonic as being kind of its own world with a lot of information and things to explore within it. So from here you can add multiphonics to a list, and I'll show you how lists work in a minute. And oh yes, the only other thing is you can also download the SVG file of each fingering so that you can input it directly into your score. Okay, so that's the main view. This is where you're going to spend a lot of time. Oh yes, and you can add your own private notes about each multiphonic, and those are stored in a separate private notes section. So if you're working on a piece and you're thinking about something and you need to create notes about each sound, then you can do that there. Okay, so now let's go through the various searches. I'll try to be quick here. So the fingering search, we select the instrument, and as you can see, the fingering diagrams are slightly different for each instrument, and that's why we can't have a search all instruments option. And then you select the difference, so the difference between your chosen fingering and other potential options. And this is a great way to make idiomatic transitions and to find different trill options, different potential trill options. Although I would say that trills are really good to try out to see that if they work and how the multiphonics interact with each other, because sometimes different embouchure positions can cause some issues. Sometimes they're fun issues. Okay, so if I input my dream fingering, then we get the exact match comes up very quickly here, and then we get all of the nearby neighbors as allowed by the maximum difference. And you'll notice if I increase that to 2, then we increase to 21 matching multiphonics. And if you love all of these, then you can very easily just save them to a list, create a new list, and off you go. The advanced pitch search is a little bit different from filtering by pitch on the browse page. So you can be a little bit more specific about, you know, what's coming from the fundamental and what's coming from other harmonics. And you can select a tolerance, very similar to the fingering diagram search in a way, of up to 2 semitones. So that can help you to really find loads of different options. And again, you can just save them directly to a list, or I can reset everything. Search by number is basically if you've been recording down the numbers in the database, then you can find them very easily. Random multiphonic, I have spent so much time on this, so you can select all, or you can be specific about the instrument, and you can just keep going and find some inspiration this way. You can play the multiphonics directly from here so you can hear everything. And yeah, just keep on clicking. So the next feature is the emoji search. And this is basically if you've added emoji tags to any multiphonics, they are going to turn up here. This is completely user generated, so you will see this just as I do, but you won't be able to see who tagged which multiphonic with which emoji. Although I am now dying to know who has tagged quite a lot of these, since most of them were not me. So you can see that 2 people have tagged this one multiphonic with a boat, and 2 people have tagged this one with a duck. I thought it would be a fun way to experiment with things like music perception, but I also thought it would be a nice way of giving you the opportunity to develop your own language of multiphonics. So you could, for yourself, for example, come up with, say, 5 to 10 emojis that you really think sum up the kinds of multiphonics that you want to use, and then go through the catalog and tag them. And then they're not tied to a specific piece. So if you were creating a list, that might be way more kind of oriented towards a specific project, but this is a nice way to be kind of general, and it's a bit playful and a little bit fun. And your emoji tags automatically populate your emoji tags list. So you'll see here, if I go into my lists, that all of the ones that I've tagged appear here. So while we're now at the lists function, so you can create lists, and there are loads of different ways to add your multiphonics to your list, whether it's through the multiphonic view, through the main catalog view, through when you're doing a fingering or a pitch search, you can automatically add things to a list. And once you're in here, so I've got lists for various pieces that different people are working on. I've also got a few lists associated with blog posts I made. And so you can reorder multiphonics very easily within the list. You also, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can add silent tracks. So then, where did my silence go? There it is. You can move this so you can kind of insert breath if you really want to get a sense of the multiphonics in context of your piece. And then, of course, you can play them through like it's a playlist. You can also see which ones you've added your favorites to, and your favorites automatically populate a list as well. And then we'll talk about the repertoire database in a minute, but from here you can also add to a piece. So say you've written a piece of music, you used a bunch of multiphonics, and then you want your piece to be in the repertoire catalog, then you can very easily just add all of your multiphonics to that so that everybody can see which ones you've used. The other thing you can do, of course, if you can share multiphonics, so you can allow people to copy your list to their account or not, and then you create a share link and you can copy and paste that and send it to your teacher or your friend or your colleagues or your collaborator, which could be very useful indeed for clarinetists to be able to very easily hear the multiphonics that you've been working on. And yeah, so now we could go into the repertoire database. So this is quite a recent addition, so it's just sort of getting started. Basically, you can add your piece or someone else's piece into this. Composer's name, piece title. I've given various options for instrumentations. You can add other instruments, and if you add a recording, if you add a YouTube or a SoundCloud link, then it will automatically embed. And it ends up looking a little bit like this. We've got a nice embedded YouTube recording. We've got a link to the score on Nakoda here. And then we've got all the multiphonics. Actually, I don't think it's quite all of them, but it's most of the multiphonics that Lisa Lim uses in her wonderful piece, Sonor's Body. You can also leave a comment to everybody else. This is kind of, in a way, an extension of the forum. And then you can edit and add multiphonics to this list. So very much kind of user generated. And from here, we can also search. So we can select solo clarinet and maybe which clarinet we want. So we've just got one solo bass clarinet piece in there for now. So I would highly encourage you to add some pieces. The other thing I think is going to be really interesting here is this insights panel, which everybody has access to. And it will basically show you the kind of top multiphonics in terms of how often they're used in the repertoire. And I think that's going to be really interesting and useful for composers. So say you want to write a piece where you think you're using easy multiphonics, but you'd like to kind of cross-reference them with how often they're being used, with the theory being if something's being used quite often, it's probably quite friendly to the players. Or if you want to write something really unique, then you kind of want to avoid these top 10. The forum is here as a place for, so we've got recent forum activity here, and then kind of general discussion. There's a meet and greet. There's some posts from me where I've been talking about various blog posts and attaching lists from them, score sharing, various announcements, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I'd be curious to know what you think. Individual subscriptions are available starting at $5 a month. I've got institutional subscriptions as well. If you're interested in that, don't hesitate to send me an email. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how you use the app.